Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm gonna share every single thing that I do to make sure that my glute workout is as effective as possible for those glute gains.
I can't see your lower body when you say that.
Oh, for those glute gains. And if you're a beginner, don't worry, because I'm gonna give you beginner versions of every single exercise so that you can follow along too. First exercise, we are doing a hip thrust, but we're gonna do a superset because over here we love our supersets. I promise it is a little bit, I have to disclose it is a little bit difficult, but it's worth it in the end, I promise. After this superset, this one specifically, I can't sit down for the next 3 days, which I have a love-hate relationship with that statement, but in other words, let's show you. We are pairing a B-Stance hip thrust with a regular hip thrust, no rest in between. To get into a B-Stance hip thrust position, one foot is going to be planted flat on the ground. This is going to be the working foot. The other leg is going to be out to the side, very light, very lightweight. No focus is going to be on that non-working leg. All the focus is going to be on the planted foot. You're going to hip thrust up into starting position. Lower all the way down, extend as far down as you can, keep your chin tucked. Make sure you're not arching your back. Instead, you're bringing your hips down and you're keeping your back flat. And as you hip thrust up, contract your glutes, focus on that working leg, hold it briefly at the top, and then slowly lower down for that next rep. Right after that set of B-Stance hip thrusts, we're gonna go right into regular hip thrusts. For this, both feet are gonna be planted on the ground. You wanna make sure that your knees are parallel with the heels of your feet, forming that 90-degree angle when you're in full hip thrust position. Now, similar to a B-Stance, we're gonna push up the weight, lower down as far down as we can without arching your back. Keep your chin tucked, and then push up. Squeeze those glutes at the top and then lower back down into the next rep. As an experienced lifter who's using the Smith machine, I would focus on getting those 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 10 reps per leg for the B-Stance hip thrust and 8 to 10 reps for the hip thrust. To scale down the B-Stance hip thrust and the hip thrust, we can move over to just using a bench or a box platform and opting for a dumbbell or even just your body weight. So I'll show you how to get into those positions. For the B-Stance, it's going to be the same thing that I showed on the Smith machine. You're going to have one leg planted on the ground, the other one is hovering to the side. Again, the focus is only on this glute and this leg. To do a body weight, we're just going to extend all the way down, keep your back flat, your chin tucked, and push up, contracting at the top, focusing on this glute. Now, if you find that to be a little bit too easy, you can scale it up by, oh my God, maybe I chose too heavy of a dumbbell. You can scale it up by using a single dumbbell. You can hold it in this position like this, or if it feels more comfortable to put it on your hips, you can do it like that. Again, get into B-Stance position and lower all the way down, back straight, chin tucked, push up, really focus on contracting that glute, and lower down into your next rep. But as a beginner who is just using their body weight for the B-Stance and the hip thrusts, I would focus on 2 to 3 sets going until failure, since it's just your body weight. The goal here is to make sure that you're focusing on getting the form right and the mind-muscle connection down so that you can slowly work your way up into introducing new weights and then later on introducing the Smith machine or the barbell. Now for intermediates who are using dumbbells, I would aim for 2 to 3 sets of around 10 to 12 reps per leg for the B-Stance and 10 to 12 reps for the hip thrusts. Second exercise, we're gonna be doing low platform split squats. This is a unilateral movement, which is perfect if you have glute imbalances, because with this exercise, we'll be targeting one glute and one leg at a time. So if you find that one of your glutes are weaker than the other, you can focus on increasing the weight gradually so that eventually both legs and both glutes can match weight. As a low platform, I'm using a 6-inch box, but if you don't have that height of a box at your gym, you can just stack flat plates on top of one another for 6 inches. Now, the reason why I prefer to use a low platform versus the bench platform, which is probably the type of split squat that you're familiar with, is because a low platform allows you to get a deeper stretch on the eccentric, which allows for a bigger stretch on the hamstrings and the glutes, which helps to target those muscle groups and fire those muscle groups the most. Versus a bench platform split squat, there's a less of a range of motion, which allows for more target on the quads. To get in position, we're gonna take about 2 or 3 steps away from the box, plant that back foot onto the box and lower down. Now, to target the glutes, you're going to lean your torso forward slightly and imagine you're just moving along a diagonal line. You're gliding along that line as you move up and down. As an experienced lifter, I am using 2 dumbbells on each side so that I can maximize the amount of weight that I can use. But if you want to scale it down to more of an intermediate and beginner style of an exercise, you can either do a 1 dumbbell exercise, lifting it up to one side and doing it like that, or you can drop the weight completely and just use your body weight and make sure that you focus on improving your form every single time and then slowly working up to the 1 dumbbell and then eventually the 2 dumbbells. As an experienced lifter, I'm focusing on getting around 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps per leg. Before a beginner and intermediate, I would focus on trying to get 2 to 3 sets of maybe 12 to 16 reps since you're doing lighter weight and probably body weight. And the key for a beginner and intermediate is focusing on form and gradually increasing the weights as you move up. For our third exercise, we're doing cable kickbacks. With this one, we're targeting the glute maximus, which is the biggest portion of the glutes. To get into position, we're having one leg, the non-working leg is just planted flat on the ground. The working leg, have your toes pointed slightly outwards just for better comfort. Now the movement is going to be initiated by your glutes. I feel like a lot of people have difficult with this exact exercise, and I think the reason why is because maybe you're using too heavy of a weight, and the other reason is because you're not focusing on that mind-muscle connection. When the weight is lighter, you're able to focus more on contracting the glutes to its fullest extent, hold it briefly at the top, and then slow the movement down on the way back to the machine. If you have too heavy of a weight, you're not able to control that movement, which means you may be compensating by using other parts of your body, like your back, your leg swings, the momentum. So just focus on working your way up from lowest weight to gradually higher as you go. To scale this down to be a little bit more beginner and intermediate friendly, I would just focus on lowering the weight probably to the lowest weight possible, maybe about 5 or 10 pounds, and just focus on getting that form. And then once you've got the mind-muscle connection and the form down, that's where you can start slowly increasing the weight and getting more familiar with heavier. For an experienced lifter, I would focus on doing 3 or 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps per leg. And as a beginner and intermediate, I would focus on 2 to 3 sets, keeping to the 2 to 3 set range and sticking with about 12 to 15 reps per leg, just focusing on lower weight and higher reps. Second last exercise, we are doing Romanian deadlifts. Now, don't be scared. I know a lot of people either don't feel RDLs in their glutes or they just are not comfortable with the form. I am gonna give you all my best tips and tricks that helped me get my form, even if you're a beginner. We're gonna get it today. Probably the most challenging part, or the thing that a lot of people struggle with, is mastering the hip hinge of the RDL. Getting the hip hinge is as simple as just sending your hips back. You're gonna keep your back straight, your chest lifted up, send those hips back. And as you send your hips back, your knees naturally have a little bit of a bend to them. With the RDL, and in order to target your glutes a little bit more, you're just gonna slightly bend your knee a little bit more. If you're choosing to do this with dumbbells, you're gonna keep them glued to your quads and your legs, and you're just gonna have them glide down as you move and lower down into the movement. Now, to begin, You're gonna focus on sending those hips back first. That's the movement that's gonna initiate the RDL. So we're gonna start in a upright position, send those hips back to initiate the movement, glide those dumbbells down, lower down all the way to about mid-shin height. And as you raise up, this is the key to helping to make sure that the focus is on your glutes. Make sure all your weight is on your heels. You see how my toes are a little bit light? Sometimes I almost fall backwards, but make sure all your weight is on your heels as you push up through the heels up to starting position. Since the form is a little bit more difficult to grasp, as a beginner, I'm only gonna use a band. So you're gonna get into RDL position, feet shoulder width apart, and you're gonna step onto the band since this is gonna be your only resistance for the exercise. Get up into starting position. Again, send those hips back first to initiate the movement. Lower down as far down as you can. Feel that stretch in your hamstrings, and then lift up through your heels back to starting position. As an experienced lifter, we're aiming for 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps. But as a beginner and intermediate lifter, I would focus on getting around 2 to 3 sets of about 15 to 20 reps. The focus here is really trying to use low weight or even just banded equipment at a higher rep range so that we can focus on increasing our strength so that we can prepare ourselves for when we introduce those weights. And that is a wrap on my favorite glute workout to date. I hope this workout is something that you guys really enjoy doing and that you find to be super effective in your own fitness journeys. Also, make sure to let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want me to cover or any other type of workouts that I haven't done and you want to see, or any other tips you want to know. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.